Shame is not your enemy. In fact, it's the most honest indicator that you have, that you care. It's conscience. Shame itself is not the problem, but rather how we manage it. Are we using it as a catalyst for our growth, or rather we use it as a prison to stay in stagnation? Shame is a very important part of our healing journey as men. And in this video I want to talk a little bit more about the shame in the context of acknowledging our own negative impact on others when we hurt someone in the past. Now, there are two types of men when it comes to dealing with shame. Type 1 is the avoiders. They suppress, they deny, they deflect, they defend, they try to control their surrounding, their environment through gaslighting others, projecting their own shame onto others. Basically what they do is they refuse to admit their own fault, which is part of taking responsibility and accountability. The second type is the conscious men. These men, they feel shame. They don't run away from it. What they do is they acknowledge that they did harm someone in the past, and they take responsibility and full ownership of that. How do you cross that bridge? First, separating our actions from our identity. Now, acknowledging that we did harm doesn't mean that we are harm. It's a mental framework for responsibility, but not for self-destruction. What people often do is they label others based on their actions. Yeah, like he did that, so he is that. And in a lot of cases that can be a disservice, yeah, and create huge challenges then to break out from this mental prison of this label. My game changer was curiosity. I stopped asking myself what's wrong with me, and I started to asking, why did I do that? What was the reason behind such behavior? What was the unmet need, the root cause behind all of this? So ask yourself regarding your past experience where you hurt someone, what am I truly ashamed of and why? And then second question you can ask yourself is, how can I show up differently as a different version from my past version? Now, this second part is also really important, because if we want to do a prayer of forgiveness, the highest form of prayer is through behavioral change, through embodied action, leading by example. Now, what I want you to do is look to your past version who feels shame of hurting someone with today's eyes, today's awareness, experience, as if you were a loving father. What would you do then? Would you continuously keep shaming this part of yourself as a father? Or would you lovingly hold space and guide that part? Would you be interested in getting to know that part? How does it feels? How does it felt when it did this harmful act towards the other? What unmet childhood need this part tried to meet by having this behavior? Be the loving father that you never had, that you wish you had. Empathy and compassion don't enable bad behavior. It's the opposite. It allows to create a safe space for accountability, and responsibility can occur, which facilitates change. As long as you keep hating part of yourself and avoiding it, you recreate the resistance, and you cannot keep that part of yourself accountable. And imagine if someone hurt you in the past. Or maybe you don't even have to imagine, because you have certain experiences and memories when someone did hurt you in the past. Imagine that same person acknowledged what they did, and they changed their behavior completely. And then they kept showing up consistently with this new behavioral model, embodying a healthy version of that. Would you forgive them? You probably would. So give yourself the same opportunity. We often find it really easy to make a case against ourselves, to make us look worse than we are, than is necessary. Mistakes don't define us forever. Each of us makes tons of mistakes in our lifetime. Does that mean that we're a bad person? Mistakes are here to learn, to know better, to grow. The reason why we find often each other in a situation where we hurt each other is that we have disconnected from ourselves emotionally and from each other. And owning our shame is a big step in the direction of being an antidote to that. Share your experience in the comments. Transparency is how we heal. It's how we encourage, motivate, and inspire each other. What was your hardest truth about yourself that you had to face?